Hey, YouTube people, it's the night before the election, and I just had the strangest thought. I thought maybe I should put up a video for what good it will do. I keep thinking about the terrorists. They call them protesters, and we've been calling them rioters, and now I call them terrorists because that's what they are. Rioting is terrorism. Um, People are boarding up stores and properties all over America. Something that's never happened before an election. This is the first time in my life when I've actually thought about my safety before an election. That just doesn't. That's something you hear about in places like Jamaica. It's just something you shouldn't have to think about in America. Anyway, for weeks I've been expecting post-riot elections. I think Trump probably will win. Not because I'm watching the polls, but for other reasons. And I thought riots would start after the election because, of course, the left would throw another tantrum the way they did after Hillary lost. Except this time, of course, it'd be worse because now they've gotten accustomed to lawlessness and doing whatever they like. No one punishes them. Well, it occurred to me tonight, what if they riot on election day? And there's a reason that people should be afraid of this. I shouldn't say afraid. It's something they should be thinking about. We have a perfect storm right now. A perfect storm, it's something that happens when you have a combination of elements that come together and there's a synergy so that they have greatly amplified power compared to what they would have had they occurred separately. And there's a lot of elements to this perfect storm. There's the Barrett nomination. There's the new culture of rioting. The way that coronavirus is affecting our elections. The ridiculous notion that you have to stay home to vote, which people have bought into. So many things have come together. The Trump derangement syndrome, all these things are it's like they're being stirred up in a bowl to create chaos. And it's a supernatural thing. It has to do with the arrival of the Antichrist and the end of the age. Well, most Democrats have voted. And it seems like no one's talking about one of the possible consequences of that. Rioters are mindless. They are controlled by demons. They have no common sense. They're like rabid dogs. So I was thinking to myself, what if these people who riot, what if they're planning right now? What if they're saying most Democrats have already voted? We can suppress the conservative vote by rioting on election day. What if we go out and riot in front of the polls? Uh, what's Trump going to do? Is he going to extend the election? And I thought to myself, are they stupid enough to do that? And I thought, well, of course they are. Look at what they've done so far. They can believe anything. When you don't hear from the Holy Spirit, there's nothing you can't fall for. It's astounding. I was talking to a friend of mine today, and I was telling him how things work, things that God has shown me. And I've said this before, the internet is Satan's counterfeit of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit binds people together. He tells us things. He tells us all the same things. He moves us around and orders us, and we work together in harmony. And it's something Satan can never match. So he's always tried to suppress the Holy Spirit. He makes Christians suppress prayer in tongues, which is how the Holy Spirit works. He makes them suppress prophecy and the gifts of the Spirit and miracles and all those things, because the Holy Spirit is like God's internet. I mean, he binds us together and commands us, and Satan has got this technological internet now, and he uses it to bring his children together. It's really fascinating what he's done. He got us all addicted to it. He got us to, we give up things. We've given up the phone. We've given up, broadcast TV. We've given up. We've turned the internet into the medium through which we do a lot of our communication. So he got us all addicted to it, and then once we were all addicted, he started shutting down conservative access and Christian access. A lot of pro-Trump Facebook pages. My understanding is Facebook groups that are pro-Trump have been closed down uh, over the last couple of days. And that kind of thing is going to continue. And we all know what happened with Twitter and Facebook banning Trump campaign messages. It's a remarkable thing. Anyway, um, Satan spreads rage and cruelty through the internet, and one of the ways he does it is by keeping people anonymous. Because when people think they're anonymous, they think they're not accountable. Of course, God still sees, and everything is still recorded somewhere, but people don't believe in God, so they do as they please. And that's why people are so filthy on the internet. They say things. That's why they're so cruel and vicious. It's because they think they can't get caught, and they're letting their true selves come out, their worst selves. So we've got this culture now of viciousness and cruelty, and it's being used to marshal the troops, the Antichrist troops, the terrorists, the rioters, and it's being taken away from us, the Christians and the conservatives. And it's really an amazing thing. Anyway, if what I'm afraid, I don't like to say afraid, if what I'm concerned about is happening, then people are using the internet now to plan these riots. And it would be a very bad thing if there were riots on election day in significant numbers to the degree where there was a real concern about votes being suppressed. And one of the places where this could be a real problem is Pennsylvania. It looks like Pennsylvania is the new Florida. Florida is always the place that causes trouble in presidential elections. Well, it looks like Florida's swinging pretty well into the Trump direction. Miami-Dade County, which is used to be very conservative because so many Cubans were there and they were so grateful to, they hated socialism so much. They knew what socialism was and they hated it. But then, their culture, they tend to be a little bit fickle when there's an economic incentive involved, and they've kind of turned away from the conservative side, and also there's a lot of communists in Miami now. It's really strange. It used to be that people Castro hated came to Miami, and then when things loosened up, a lot of people who are still communists came to Miami because they knew America was a better place to live and it was a good place to make money. So it's weird. They came to this place that they were acknowledging it was superior by coming here, and yet at the same time they were holding on to their communist doctrine. So there really are communists in Miami. There's a lot of socialists now that came from places like Cuba. Anyway, nonetheless, it looks like Miami-Dade County is swinging for Trump, and that's a huge part of Florida. So Florida doesn't look too bad, but Pennsylvania's right now in the throes of a riot, festival. I mean, it's one of the big hotspots right now. So just one more little factor in the perfect storm. If they try this, and if the votes are suppressed to a significant degree, or if it looks like they might be, we could be headed for real chaos. It could be terrible. It could be not weeks but months before the election is resolved, and it might not be resolved. Who knows? They might have another election, in April, in June or something, when everybody's pacified, when the UN comes down, when the UN comes in to keep peace, when people are, subdued and forced into their houses. I hope that won't happen. I hope that by tomorrow night we'll have some idea what's going on. Anyway, I want to suggest that people pray that God will suppress the rioters, the terrorists, that he will discourage them from rioting on election day. And of course, I hope people will pray for Trump to be elected. It amazes me that anybody could vote for socialism or the murder of the unborn, or side with Israel's enemies, or side against the church. It's amazing that we could turn against a president who's given us economic prosperity, the likes of which we haven't known in, I don't know, have we ever known this kind of prosperity before? Maybe in the 50s? I'm not sure. Things are going so well, and yet people are still turning against Trump just because they don't like him, because Satan is whispering in their ears. It occurred to me this weekend, America is the only country on earth, the only country in history that I'm aware of, that may be stupid enough to turn to socialism when things are going well in a period of extreme prosperity. Traditionally, the wisdom has been that socialism appears to people who are poor, who are starving, who are desperate for anything that might help. That's what happened in Cuba. That's what happened in Russia. Um, Asia. But America is in a huge boom, and Trump helped bring it about. And yet, there's these ignorant kids out on the streets screaming for socialism when they're doing well. That's demonic. That's not normal. That's a supernatural delusion. So I hope people will pray uh, that God will keep rioting to a minimum, and that He'll help Trump to get elected, and that He'll help people to come to God and to be filled with the Spirit of holiness, because I really don't think there's much time left. You don't want to be here during the tribulation. You really don't. So I hope this is helpful. And sorry about the quality of the video. This is my first laptop video. I always wondered why people had videos where print on things appeared backward. And now, now it's the first time I've ever done this with a laptop. And I look at myself and I see that the writing on my shirt is backward. So now I understand that. I thought people had some kind of ridiculous idea that if they recorded things backward, that it would somehow insulate them from copyright claims. I don't know. Anyway, uh, question answered. So pray for America. This could be the end.